Hello and welcome to Literature Club, Comrades. It is spooky month. We are playing a game that is probably 10 times scarier than the game Andrew, the self-reported horror game fan, had us play for his pick of the month in Resident Evil. And we are traveling. We're traveling back to the before times of 2017. In the freeware release of Doki Doki Literature Club. We are not going to be talking about the premium retail version of the Doki Doki Literature Club Plus. I have not touched that or any of the extra content. We're talking about kind of the core base, the free game, the original. And just as I was about to hit record, I was asking, are we ready? And Andrew's like, I don't know that I want to talk about this game. So I'm laying it right down at your feet. Why don't you want to talk about this game? What about this game makes you uncomfortable besides some of the obvious?
It's too close to home for some past relationships.
I want to talk about this game. It was dark. It was darker than I imagined.
Yeah, dude. Cute anime girls can be pretty dark sometimes.
Matt's messages in the text like, what do you mean? It's a cute little dating sim. It's a visual novel. What are you talking about?
I opened this game.
They're in your walls. They're in your walls. They're in your walls.
And
there are bugs in your skin. Monica is in your brain.
That she is. But you start this game and you hit like essentially 3 separate warnings about the graphic nature of the game. And I was like, well, that seems like kind of
can't be that bad.
and then I was an hour and a half in, and like, oh shit, those warnings are totally valid.
So, as I was like reviewing for
warnings are
podcast,
for cowards.
When I was reviewing it, I mean, because I played this probably close to a year ago, and I'll be interested to see like, what are the situations in which the manners in which you played it. So for me, I played it on my Steam Deck in bed before going to sleep. And surprisingly didn't give me nightmares. Like I'm I don't know, Matt and I kind of vie for who's the biggest wuss when it comes to
what would have given me more nightmares was the idea of an actual book club.
Yeah. See, I really liked those elements in which
Get me out. I'm not reading. No,
gameplay.
You can't make me.
All you have to do is pick words. You don't have to actually write anything. And so I played it that way. And worked really well on Steam Deck, even with the kind of metagame aspects to it, which we'll get to eventually. But yeah, so as I was reviewing it, I'm like, I don't really remember the content warning, the disclosure type of thing, which as I
don't think it would be the original release.
Well, I feel like it would kind of have to be. I feel like there may be some.
It was.
Well, because things like that obviously have to be rated, in order for it to go out on stores, they have to have ratings.
Rating doesn't require a trigger warning. Rating can be on the actual thing says like rated M for violence and
sure, okay, but it's like there are like warning signs somewhere, and I don't know that it's true, Matt, that it wasn't there from the start. I think it may have been.
I played it in 2017. I don't remember the trigger warnings because the reason I played it was because a person that I watched play Overwatch started playing it. And he was like, wow, cute anime girl visual novel. This is awesome. And then he got to that part. He was like, holy shit, this is so fucked up. How come there was no... I was like, okay, now I need to get fucked up and go fully in.
Because I remember, at least when I was first going to play the game or looking it up, when I kind of came across my Steam page or whatever.
When it had the Switch release, the Plus or whatever.
Well, okay, maybe. Yeah, Andrew, did you end up playing because I know you had said you had bought the Plus version before, but did you go back and play
I played the regular on the computer.
And there was so maybe they updated it.
No, honey, I'm playing a real serious, scary game.
Did you have to lock the door so the wife doesn't come in while the high school anime wife is confessing her love to you?
Yeah, she did come in towards the beginning, and
it's like, one of the worst times to actually come in, because it's like, what are you playing?
And I was like, it's supposedly a psychological horror game, and she was like, uh-huh. And then 45 minutes later, I came out and I was like, "Oh my god, this is so fucked up."
Exactly what I say to cover up when I play hentai games.
So one of the other warnings at the start of the game is apparently that all characters in the game are 18 or older, which I'm like, Natsuki is clearly, like 12. She is a high school freshman at best.
No, she's a 1,000-year-old dragon trapped inside the body.
See, that's the reason why I'm like kind of uncomfortable talking about this game, is just the weird nature of visual novel dating sims that this game is subverting. I get over that uncomfortable feeling because this is a purposeful negation of what those games go for, and is a purposeful deconstruction of the kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? No, it's not that there are plenty of tropes that this is playing with, but like the visual, I don't want to completely denigrate an entire, genre or those who enjoy it, but there are those in it who seek this type of fictional character
companionship
and fan service, because it's a sense of companionship that they don't get in their own lives, and how they handle that in a toxic or not way makes the genre kind of fraught with problems and controversies. And there are plenty of just unhinged visual novel fans out there, as there are for any genre. So I can't necessarily say that it's unique in that way, but the fact that these are, young, emotionally vulnerable characters that people are putting unhealthy sexual attachment to makes me uncomfortable. And
well, it's a good thing that attachment doesn't last for very long.
It's at most it's like, oh wow, who do you go for, the clearly underage tsundere, or the goth? What's the other one? Is she a yandere?
Yeah,
is that what it is? That I don't. That's the extent of my
yourself.
That's above my pay grade.
There's a whole list of all of them. I was like looking at I'm doing research, folks. You got to believe me.
Your algorithm.
I'm doing research so you don't have to. Yeah. Do you think my searching for Doki Doki Literature Club has put me on a watch list of some kind? It should.
Your personalized ICE agent is just killing himself currently.
Yeah. So this was probably one of my first forays into visual novels. So it's an interesting perspective to have, to not have as much of a touchstone for the genre of which this is, subverting. That this was just an interesting experience, and to me, what was compelling about it, beyond some good writing, I think. Well, I was surprised actually that some of the poetry is like semi-decent. That it's not like it's anything, truly groundbreaking, but
I can't critique poetry because I read like a Neanderthal, so anything that goes beyond base level of understanding just.
But like the fact that this is like one of the most like meta game experiences I'd ever had up to that point, I have to go back and look at my list and see, did I play Doki Doki Literature Club before or after I played Metal Gear Solid 1? Because there's like a whole lot of interesting ideas. And thinking about, this is a very kind of Kojima style game, both in some of its kind of weird.
Yeah, remember Kojima wanted to make a horror game where the game would send you text messages and call your phone.
This is to jump right into it. This is the
Anderson
elements
like,
of.
I could do that. I could be pestered by a game for the rest of my life.
The real world, the way that the artificial world of the game stretches out into your real life is definitely something that was born in Kojima's brain 30 years ago, and he's yet to find a properly cinematic way to bring to life. But like the kind of going all the way to the end of things, when the game has completely basically like decompiled itself and you're just left at the end with Monica. She stops calling you by your inputted avatar name, and instead, so like for me on Steam, she's calling me by my Steam username. She'll call you by your whatever your account name is, to make it clear that she's talking to you, the player, not the game's protagonist. That it's reading something outside of the game itself is what is like one of the most really disturbing elements to it. It's like, oh my god, the computer is coming alive and wants to kill me. Some of our most deep-seated fears.
Just wants to spend eternity with you.
Yeah, so which, Matt, is this a game that you saw more than one ending for? I'm interested to see, your desire to 100% games, see all endings, experience all the content versus your, we'll say kindly, your resistance to horror games. And
I definitely haven't seen all endings of this game.
Being a scared little bitch.
There were layers to it, of course, though, so I'm a scared little bitch. I don't need to see all of that over and over again. When I played it, I had recently gotten out of a relationship with a girl who reminded me a lot of Monica towards the end, which had its own layer of oh, cool. Now she's in my computer.
Which is funny because in order to see the good ending, you've got to wade through all of the bad stuff repeatedly, over and over and over again, exposing yourself to the repeated trauma, the cycles of pain, violence, obsession, that you have to become kind of obsessed yourself in order to see some kind of ray of sunshine at the end where Monica, the kind of personification of those obsessive tendencies, is kind of pushed to the side, and Sayori as more of a more well-rounded character, someone who is able to come to terms with the positive and negatives of her own psyche and her own, depressive tendencies, is able to finally see that that good is possible accepting the bad. But yeah, if you've got to wade through a lot of shit to get there. But I'm curious.
Did you do it?
No, I was thinking I may. When I originally put this on the schedule for us, I was like, okay, maybe I'll either get the Doki Doki Literature Club Plus version and play the extra content, or go through and try to do a full, I played it naturally, blind, no guide, nothing, just pure choice consequences and all that, and enjoyed the experience. So I was like, okay, maybe I'll go back with a guide to try to make sure that I can prioritize or efficiently make all the right choices.
Playing this blind with your choices being the only thing, that must really hit hard the first time. And that was some great choices I made.
They say, well, I just killed my childhood best friend. I just made her kill herself. She just unalived herself. Man, unalived. She was murdered to death.
I say Foghorn Leghorn.
Yeah, so I was going to ask, which path did you guys take then, if you only did a singular path? In my opinion, I guess there are three real choices that you can make, three paths you can take initially, I think. In my opinion, it really only goes to two, because anybody who picks the Natsuki path deserves to go to prison.
I chose Yuri.
Also chose Yuri.
At the beginning.
And I also chose Yuri. Yuri,
solidarity.
Best girl, and also most problematic. Problematic bestie.
But then I didn't choose Yuri in my second option either. I said no to her, which I don't think it matters though. How many different endings really are there? Doesn't it all essentially just end with Monica one way or another?
Yes,
Until you get that final ending.
It all goes through there, but there are all these endings that happen along the way, and are kind of considered endings based on the different paths you take, and some will eventually they all will kind of funnel into Monica's ending. But then, in order to get the good ending, you have to the true ending, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, you have to spend time with all of them. When you spend time with the character, you'll know you've unlocked it when it changes from the normal sprites to a more kind of hand-drawn still frame. You have to see all of those. You have to have seen all of them. So yeah, it's basically follow all paths in order to unlock the true ending, which then gets you
thank you, and then a letter from the developer, Dan Salvato, which I want to read at some point, but maybe we'll save that for the end. So what was it that I want to like get your thoughts? And Andrew, yours obviously is the most recent. As you're playing through, how did your feelings kind of ebb and flow as you moved through the game?
So I think this game does a really good job of immersing you in the emotions that it wants, particularly with the music, colors, and the illustrations. It's all just like very cheery and cute, and you feel happy and you feel pretty nice. And it's like, okay, this is a little weird. I've never played this type of game, but like I like how the characters are developing. It's interesting. I know this is a psychological horror, so obviously something's gonna happen at some point here, but I'm liking this. And then that feeling and that tension just builds for like an hour, and you get to the point where Sayori, am I saying that right?
Devil Western tongue, but good enough.
Sayori, when she does kill herself, and I knew something bad was gonna happen like in that moment. Still wasn't expecting the game to go as hard as it did with like the jump scare effectively that it does, and just how upsetting it is to see these
I just distinctly remember the guy who was streaming it getting to that spot and then being, oh shit, I probably shouldn't be streaming this, and like closing the game out rapidly. And
yeah, I definitely just like immediately was just like, oh fuck, like it produced a audible response from me. So that was an impressive moment of fear and sadness produced by any media that I've consumed in a while right there. So yeah, that kind of made the rest of my playthrough feeling a little down, a little sad. Holy shit. I was just waiting for more like insanely graphic stuff at that point though. Like once my guard went up, it doesn't have, I mean,
yeah,
it's not entirely true.
After that, a lot of the stuff
it's not entirely
you're
true.
ready for it more.
God, making you sit there and watch Yuri decompose for 3 days is like maybe the worst part of the entire game, but also the best. Like it's horrendous.
The fact that like as you're like speeding it up, as you're using like the skip function or whatever, and it's just like doing like random wingdings and crazy shit, and as different filters are moving over, you see her blood dry and the light leave her eyes and shit like that. It's very upsetting as you're just forced to sit with that for like 10 in-game minutes is definitely deeply upsetting. What I think is what the game does so well is how it handles these really disturbing and shocking moments, both in its how it handles it both directly and then kind of subconsciously and subtly. Like obviously you've got that initial image of opening the door to Sayori's room and she's there hanging herself. When the game resets and you're going again and she's no longer there, and obviously there's still more direct things where the game still thinks she should be there, and you're getting the glitches and the wrong text, and Monica will glitch herself into Sayori's position to try to right the ship. But if you're like in the classroom, like I didn't notice this until I was reviewing things. You're in the classroom at that point, and Monica is like kind of cheerily like, nothing bad has happened. If you look in the background, it's very faded and very faint. On the wall in the back is the picture of Sayori's bedroom with her hanging in the background.
Ooh, I didn't catch that one.
So it's just like, and then there'll be
there's other times they do there, you can see it too.
And there's things like with the Monica's always intentional word choice, like before this happens before you find Sayori, when Monica tells you to like go check on her or whatever, she says like, based on your previous day's conversation with Sayori, she's like, oh man, you really should feel bad. You really left her hanging. You should go check on her. And it's just like, so it doesn't register. Obviously, it's something that you have to eventually then realize is that there is no, it is subtle, but also not subtle because you don't recognize it, but it's because it is entirely literal.
Yeah.
There is no metaphor in anything that Monica does. It is always, she's always breaking the fourth wall, even when you don't recognize it.
I'm not going to lie. You bringing this game back up after 8 years of successful suppression and burying it and locking it up.
You know what's really psychologically distressing? Realizing that 2017 was 8 years ago.
Yes, but
continue.
So in the control room of the project that's never ending, we put up in the beginning of September on the first weekend that we worked, we put up a kitten hanging from a tree.
A cat
hanging in there. And I'm not going to lie, this past week, every time I've looked up there, I've been like,
just hang in there.
I told the government that I'd leave that for them if they want. They said we have to take it when we're done.
It might give the government contractors the wrong idea. What are some of your favorite, it's so weird to say, your favorite elements?
My favorite?
What are like the elements that you found the most affecting? That I think is the proper word. I'll say for myself, it was honestly in moments where the glitches are kind of super obvious, unsettling. You obviously are starting to get a feel for how Monica's influence over everything becomes more direct that way. But the one that really always got me, and it was the best use of that subversion of what was there before. Andrew, you already mentioned how light and happy and cheery the music was, and then they'll just subtly they'll be playing it, and then a couple notes will be off key.
Yep.
And it's just like runs. It's like nails on a chalkboard type of thing, where you're expecting the theme to go in the certain way, and then it's just the discordance of hearing one note just kind of go off. You're just like, it's like just like an ice shattering kind of moment where just everything kind of comes down. And so it's like those, even in those little degrees, it is always looking at ways to unseat your expectation and fuck with you.
It is constantly fucking with you. The use of silence too, just cutting out the music is incredibly effective, I felt. But yeah, I love just the off-key notes once in a while that you just makes you kind of twinge a little. Just wait, something's wrong.
As a horror fan, Andrew, how many of the the genre, I don't want to call it tropes, but how many of the genre staples did you find as you went through where you were like, oh yeah, there it is? Or are you not typically a psychological horror?
Were you more of a get chased by a big guy through a narrow hallway?
As we speak right now, moving on my TV in the background is Scream 3.
Classic. Scream is classic. I like psychological horror. I felt like I didn't feel like this was too tropey outside of just your general, someone's obviously in control here of something to an extent. What's Monica's role? That's where you kind of feel some of those things. I don't know. I was pretty... There's a specific line, actually, where Yuri tells you that authors make you... Essentially is trick you because you're not creative enough to think about how they're going to write the story. And I felt like that was the game developer just being knocking
on the glass.
and totally that part, she says that and I'm like, this guy, I know I'm getting fucked with. Something is going to happen and I'm gonna be
particularly Yuri, who is, if I remember correctly, she's a psychological horror fan. That's why she's in the club to begin with.
She likes fantasy horror.
Oh, so she likes werewolf romance?
Yeah, she's definitely reading werewolf yaoi porn. She puts on the air of intellectualism.
Yeah. But
hidden inside the book is definitely some.
You look over her shoulder and Arthur's banging Merlin. That's what she's reading.
God, yeah. No, that's totally in character. How do you think the game handles this, the really kind of serious, real issues of depression, self-harm, abuse? Those are the three kind of main things that are the main characters, because Monica is her own thing. That obviously she's held apart from everything. You can't choose her as a path, as a romance option or whatever, until she forces your hand at the very end, which was another great one, where another great little bit where the paths have gone so far and you have to pick who you're going to spend the weekend with, and you're trying to pick, and then it just keeps glitching to Monica. But so each of, Sayori, Yuri, and Natsuki have each of these kind of, these major issues that they deal with. And how do you think it handles? Does it handle them in is it too over the top to become? Is it caricaturized in a way that is?
It's a bit heavy-handed, offensive, is my opinion.
Yeah. Is that intent? What is the intention behind doing that?
Part of it is, I think, just because of the length that you're playing, you can't, it can't be more drawn out, and you're not playing the long game. Essentially, it's got to be more condensed and kind of in your face. Would be the.
I think. Well, I think it is a little heavy-handed. At the same time, I think it's doing a good job of. I don't think it's a bad job of illustrating how, as an individual, it might not be so obvious what's going on with people who you have these relationships with until it's really in your face. And like, I say that because, on the first playthrough, you get clues about this with Sayori sleeping and not being able to wake up, and her poem essentially being, at least the one I read, this like super cheery thing about sunshine and waking you up. And it's like, clearly she's overcompensating. They're hinting at her issues there. Yuri talks about how she has a knife collection at one point. I think that's before.
Okay, but
I think that's before.
In defense here, I have a knife collection,
yeah. And also Natsuki also has has an unhealthy relationship with food, which is a big thing with her because she's being like malnourished and abused at home.
Yes.
So, I think you're right, because I think that's a good point that I didn't fully think of, in that there are hints there, but they are not as omnipresent as they become, and they only become that way through Monica's manipulation. Yeah. So it is. We lost Matt. So the reality is that these are things that can always be simmering under the surface of people, and that we need to find healthy ways to bring them out and talk about them in ways that are not going to up the worst part of somebody's internal monologue and internal dialogue with themselves to 11, like Monica does, to just kind of poke all the pain points to make those things take over, right? So it does, however, does an effective thing about how these conditions can snowball. It also is an interesting insight into that, is how someone who, particularly with depression, can cycle through these things, and how quickly things can snowball in manic or depressive directions. And so that this is something that does affect lots of people, and I think it's interesting. I don't think this is some sort of manifesto on mental health and anything like that, but I do think it handles it as effectively as it could, with Matt's earlier point that even if you're seeing everything to the end, this is maybe like 6 hours tops, and they are kind of separated by individual paths. So obviously you can't go so deep into everybody's background, everybody's backstory. You don't get the full explanation of everybody's trauma. I think that's okay.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the other thing is, like, ultimately you feel like the impacts of these self-harm that is portrayed in this game. Like, you feel it makes you feel bad.
Yeah.
So,
Folks, Matt just texted our group chat and says that Monica got to his internet. So,
oh no.
Say, just delete her character file. Okay, so while we hopefully Matt gets back into things and can be part of this discussion, what did you think of gameplay? Because that's also, an important factor of anything. So this is largely starts off, visual novel that isn't always super gamified, right?
Yeah.
At most you're going to be handed choices that will, it is kind of, choose your own adventure style. So there are those elements, but then we already mentioned some of the kind of mini game aspects of it, but then there are the more and more growing meta things. So starting from the kind of the base level, What were your thoughts on gameplay? Particularly being someone who has not engaged with visual novels.
Yeah, having
point.
never played a visual novel, I can't say I feel like this was ineffective or groundbreaking. It works well. I wasn't upset with how you advance the story. It doesn't the gameplay, I think, doesn't really have much of an impact in the consumption of this game until kind of those later phases. Which then I think it's incredibly creative in how he uses the meta of the story and the game to modify like what is, files on your computer. Like you have to then modify files on your computer. Like it's a very interesting take, and I do appreciate why you said to play it on the computer over the PlayStation, because I do think it's much more effective to have to actually go to the Steam webpage and open the files and literally delete the character file. And then, it's also cool to see those come back once the game restarts again at the very end. So
yeah, so in the PlayStation version, they have the ability to do that. But I to bring it back to Kojima again, I liken it very much to what they had to do for the Master Collection. There is like an in-game faux PC that you can access the files that way. But that just seems so gamey to me. It's like, okay, that's just like that it's, it doesn't seem as real. Whereas, having to actually go in to your Steam page, like the game is closed. You have stopped playing the game and you are going in and he's back. He's exercised Monica. He deleted her character file. So, as we were just talking about, deleting her character file. You did it.
Hell yeah.
So we'll rewind a little bit for you, but just to finalize this point, that it is so much more effective doing it on Steam because you are...
100%.
It really brings home. Whereas again, with the Metal Gear, it didn't hit as hard to just go into the menu and switch from controller 1 to controller 2 versus the tactical nature of unplugging and replugging in your controller on an original
You're also
PlayStation
missing out
is much
on
cooler.
Psycho Mantis, calling out your save data.
And
that's a lot of Banjo-Kazooie time.
Yeah. You're a supposedly adult man, and you play these baby platformers. Yeah. So Matt, what was your feelings of the gameplay?
First, I want to make sure. I don't know.
A simple. Go
ahead.
If
I cut out because right as Andrew was talking about, their problematic personalities, and he brought up that Yuri has a knife collection. I have a knife collection. What are you saying, Andrew?
Matt, say, is it sexist to say that it's not the same when there's a knife, to be a knife guy and a knife girl?
Agreed. Those are two different connotations.
Yeah. So we're talking about gameplay. So from the kind of real base elements of its gaminess to the meta aspect, where what are your opinions on its gameplay? And say for you, Matt, I'm interested as being a literature hater. What was your thoughts on the poem parts of it, creating your daily poem?
So, I mean, the daily poem aspect. I've warmed up over time. I've made my haikus in Tsushima.
Yeah,
haikus are definitely more my type of poetry. Short, simple, easy,
but still impactful.
Not when I write them.
Depends on what you're impacting, right?
Brain cells. But from a gameplay perspective, I don't know, it lulls you. Like you're just sitting around, you're making your choices, you're playing a simple point. It's a point and click adventure. Every game's a point and click adventure, more or less. You click on the thing and it happens.
What I like about it, before we get into let you get your thoughts on the meta aspects, just while we're talking about the poetry part, I liked it more in what it does for character building, and it's testing you on how well you have learned the characters' personalities. Your intention is to try to write this poem for one of the three participants, and you will see when you pick the right word, their little chibi model will get all excited. And so it started off like, yeah, my first poem didn't really please anybody. It was maybe Sayori was the kindest. Basically, Natsuki will be pissed at you no matter what. Because even if you make a poem that is in her style, she'll get pissed that you wrote a better poem than she did. Classic tsundere.
I was about to say.
Tsundere. Yeah.
So,
but I like that. It has a narrative impact, less than it's like the gaminess. The serotonin hit that you get is from the realization that, okay, I do know these characters. I am successfully kind of immersing myself in the game.
Yeah, the first couple poems I was doing that for Yuri, and then Sarah killed herself, and I just started going with whatever words I liked the most, because I just like, I don't know about this anymore. It just still ended up being Yuri.
And then the meta aspects of things with game files being deleted and
that was really popular. Back then, in particular, Undertale had a very similar mechanic involved where you had to go into your game files because Flowey had infected your game.
Which path does that follow?
That's true ending, if I remember correctly.
Notoriously, Undertale is like a terribly coded game. It's just like it's like thousands of lines, tens of thousands of lines of if statements. You don't understand
what you just did. The Undertale fandom... It's too late.
Not saying
We're all
that
gonna
it
have
doesn't.
to see ourselves.
But I also I'm not a coder or whatever, so I can't pass judgment on it. But I've seen plenty of indie devs being like, there's no way this game should work with how complicated it is in terms of it's just a million if statements that are just constantly tracking your choices. If you've done this, this, and this, and this, at this point, then do this, and so on, so that the game is constantly verifying all of those it statements at every point. They're like, the only the reason this works is because it is a small game, because it's not actually doing a whole lot else.
So the story goes, apparently, that Toby Fox awoke one morning in a fugue state and had a vision for a game that he wanted to create, but didn't know how to make games. So Undertale was him teaching himself how to make games. And then Deltarune is supposedly the game that he dreamed in a fugue state.
I wish I liked bullet hell stuff so I could actually play through Undertale, because as soon as we got to the bullet hell stuff, I'm just like, not for me. Next.
Banger soundtrack, though.
It does. All right, back to our actual game. Yeah, so to me that was again just the wild in this, the cemented it as in kind of like an all-timer status in terms of like, this is, the first type of game that I'd played that does something like that.
Yeah.
And it was so unique and so creative to me that I'm like, this is the best bit, is that like, again, there are hints throughout the whole game that something is off about Monica. Yeah. Even on the cover art, you can see that things are different. She's the only one that like wears black socks. Her uniform is slightly off. Their sprites, when they're all, in the club talking to you, each of the other three's models, they're tilted slightly to the side to give more sense of dimensionality, whereas Monica is always straight on, is always looking at you straight on. Her sprite doesn't really move a whole lot. The variations of her character art are much more limited, which is weird because again, she's the one she is sentient, right? She is the one who knows that she's this video game character. So that leads me to an interesting question that I was seeing pop up as I was preparing. Do you find Monica to be a compelling, I don't want to call her a villain, even though she is essentially leading all of her friends to kill themselves, antagonist, I guess, force to be reckoned with? Is she compelling? Is she sympathetic like the others are? What's your take on Monica as a character and the force, the meta force she represents?
There can be a little sympathy, because imagine waking up one day with the full knowledge that you are in a simulation that you cannot control, and coming to grips with that, like, mortality, more or less, that like, I am just ones and zeros, everything around me is a lie, nothing is real except for the person who's pulling the strings.
Your purpose is to pass the butter. Only people with high IQs get that joke.
I'm gonna Sayori myself.
I am sympathetic because I think, like, ultimately, as the person who's playing this game, we're kind of like the reason and her torturer, and like why Monica loses her quote unquote sanity through gaining sentience. That's kind of how I view it. So I do find her sympathetic and compelling. Like, I think it's all about, ultimately, I think the point is kind of like, go touch grass is a little bit the messaging of this game in some ways. And so I think she is sympathetic because I think she's pretty, not directly, but you're the reason this game exists. You're the reason this game is happening. She's tormented by her existence within this game. That's the reason she goes through with these upsetting actions.
Yeah,
like,
well,
I do find that compelling.
She says at one point that, she drove the others to kill themselves because she's in love with you. And so the question becomes why? Why is she in love with, and she's talking to you, the player. It goes back to, I think, Matt's point, and what I think is what does make her sympathetic is that she has gained sentience, the knowledge that she is not real, or that she is the most real thing in the world around her, and that you, the player, are the only other real thing that she can kind of grasp in this amidst the sea of ones and zeros of nothing around her. So of course she's going to attach onto you and put all those feelings of fear, frustration, desire upon you. And she's going to do anything she can, because also, what is morality when, you realize that, you are just a product of some other's twisted creation, right? Mm-hmm. So it does become sympathetic. You do understand her feeling of love is not love. It is psychosis, but you understand why she has become what she is. Because it's like, what would you, Matt just said, what would you do? Yeah. What the fuck would you do? Would you go on and accept your scripted role, or would you try to rebel, and would you try to seize control back by any means that are given to you?
The red pill or the blue pill?
Yeah. So I think, it is definitely, her point of view is understandable, but then she goes crazy. Okay, so maybe now's the time to read the letter from the developer, Dan Silvato, that you only get if you do the full ending.
I just want to say, like, he did essentially everything except reading the voice lines at the end. If I remember correctly,
he didn't do character art. I mean, it's listed as Team Silvato, but he did most of it, but not all of it. He did the
music and the writing, though.
Yeah, it's mainly outsourcing a lot of other things. It's like he outsourced to other artists.
Right.
I don't know if the team has grown to something else beyond that. But yeah, it's essential. It was almost a solo dev project, but not entirely. But he is obviously the clear voice behind this. So this letter opens with, to the special player who achieved this special ending. For years, I have been enamored by the ability of visual novels and games in general to tell stories in ways not possible using traditional media. And that point, I think, is exceptionally clear with the whole, just, you can't, it's the reason why I chose this game as a special interest, and it's going to be the reason why I choose spoilers to my game choice at the end of the year. It's tangentially also partially visual novel. That's a big part of it, is 13 Sentinels. There are other aspects to it, but it's these unique ability to tell stories in ways that can't be told in another way. This story, 13 Sentinels, could not be told in any other medium. Could not really be they could be adapted, but you would not get the impact of playing both these games, and we'll get into 13 Sentinels in a couple months. You could not get into these stories without playing them as interactive game media. They just do not exist.
Yeah.
without it. So he's absolutely correct. So Doki Doki Literature Club is my love letter to that. Games are an interactive art. Some let you explore new worlds. Some challenge your mind in broad new ways. Some make you feel like a hero or a friend, even when life is hard on you. Some games are just plain fun, and that's okay too. Wrong. Every game needs to make you feel something. It needs to make you think. It needs to have a point of view. So everyone likes different kinds of games. People who enjoy dating sims may have a heightened empathy for fictional characters, or they might be experiencing feelings that life has not been kind enough to offer them. If they are enjoying themselves, then that's all that matters. That goes for shooting games, casual games, sandbox games, anything. Preferences are preferences, and our differences are the reason we have a thriving video game industry. My own favorite games have always been ones that challenge the status quo. Even if not a masterpiece, any game that attempts something wildly different may earn a special place in my heart. Anything that further pushes the limitless bounds of interactive media. I extend my true gratitude to all those who have taken the time to achieve full completion. They've achieved full completion all right, multiple times. I hope you enjoyed playing it as much as I enjoyed making it. Thank you for being part of my literature club. Love, Dan Silva. So yeah, I think the major point is the one that I broke in the middle to discuss, is that, that this game and games like it are what make video games special and what make them a vital bit of culture, is that they prove to the world that they can deliver singular experiences that unlike anything else. And I mean, you can say that about every other art form, but that this is then planting its flag that it stands among those as equal in its innovative, unique capability to produce something. And even if that's scaring the shit out of you and making you question your taste in video games. Maybe you are a sicko for wanting to date the high schooler. Yes, you are.
I'll have you know that
Persona fans, you're on watch.
I'll have you know that I'm also in high school, so it's fine. I saw a Reddit comment about one of the Persona relationships where it's like, she is a minor, you are a freak. And he was like, well, I'm 14, so...
Yeah. I mean, good for that 14-year-old playing culture, I guess.
Yes, he's, however, not allowed to enjoy the relationship with the teacher.
Yeah, no, there's a little bit of problematic for everybody. It's for everyone. Everyone's on an equal playing field.
Is they're watching TV and it's like the gym teacher has been, jailed for inappropriate relations with students, and then it's Joker and the teacher on the couch together, and it's like, wow, what a sicko. Absolute twisted.
Yeah. So twisted. Okay, final thoughts on visual novels, on horror games, on the intermixing of the two, and the unique experience of Doki Doki Literature Club.
Listen, I was skeptical. I was hesitant. I did not know what this experience was going to be, and I have to say, from like a horror standpoint, this is one of my favorite scary media things I've consumed in the last 5 years. Easy. Like, this is top notch. I don't know. I don't want to call it fun, but I enjoyed the experience in,
which is the point I make to you with scared. Any horror experience. I'm like, it's not fun. Why do you do it?
Because it made me feel something.
But this one,
goddamn did it.
This one, I'm Danny DeVitoing it
by Johnny Cash the whole time.
I get it now. I'm Danny DeVitoing it. I get it now.
I really love this. I don't know that I would ever want to have a conversation with Dan Salvato or not, but
he seems like a nice guy. Based on that letter, he seems like a nice.
He does seem like a nice guy,
heartfelt guy.
But this was a very good horror experience.
I'm glad you liked.
I really enjoyed it.
Because it's a hard sell at first to someone who doesn't know what they're getting into. It's like if you're not a visual novel sicko, it's like you're like, no, why would I want this? Like, I'm able to get over that hump for you because I'm like, it's scary. You'll enjoy the scary part.
Yeah. And you were right.
That's good.
And you were right. Definitely.
And maybe it will. Maybe you'll enjoy 13 Sentinels more than you might have before playing this. I'm completely different.
More looking forward to it now than I was 2 days ago.
Because I will say, again, quick spoilers into what we're going to get into. There is more game in 13 Sentinels than there is this, but that's my least favorite part of it. The tactical battle stuff is probably the weakest part of the game, because it's like, I can't tell what's going on here. I'd rather just get through the story, because it is one of the most fascinating and interesting non-linear sci-fi stories that I've ever experienced. But yeah, sorry.
Cool. No, I'm certainly more excited for that than I was because of this.
All right, Matt, what about you?
This game, when I initially played it, was almost a touchstone in a realization point for me when it comes to like, I have problematic taste in women.
Man, if only Mike were still here, I really would have liked to see would this awaken something in him or make him question something about himself. I never thought about it that way.
It came at the right time for me, because it followed a short-lived relationship where, like I described, lots of Monica tendencies.
Controlling, we'll call her.
She was in my walls, but yeah, as I played through this game, I was sitting there, I was like, okay, maybe I need to work on this part of myself, try to fix this aspect of my personality.
And isn't that the best thing that, culture does for you, is make you look at the world and yourself a little bit differently?
Yeah.
For the better.
Yeah. Every now and then you need a game to kick your ass, to tell you to go touch grass. Those anime girls won't save you.
You say, this kicked your ass emotionally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I echo a lot of those thoughts. Like, this was some of my first exposure to visual novel games. I'm obviously more cultured than Andrew. Like the anime aspect of it isn't off-putting to me. The high school setting is, again, that was the major hurdle for me to get over. It's like, I have no problems with dating sims, but can we have them be clearly defined adults, please?
Yes, let me play Fire Emblem Three Houses, where I'm clearly the problematic professor. And
except, hey, you're clearly should not be qualified to be a professor. You are also. Yeah. Violet is clearly also, the exact same age as all of them.
We found this amnesiac 18-year-old.
Yeah.
Why couldn't this be like a MILF's reading club? Like, I don't. Why can't we just do that?
There are plenty of book clubs out there just filled with unsatisfied MILFs. Yeah.
As I've discovered recently this week, if you want to find them, you just go to the 12 o'clock noon gym time during the week.
Yeah, what else are they doing? It's either that or just having wine and cheese a little on the early side.
Yep.
Yeah. No, but I've since I've gone further into all types of visual novel games. Like I've gone into Ace Attorney, which I've already mentioned on the pod before.
Objection.
13 Sentinels has become one of my top games ever. I just got, I think they're also horror games. I'm going to butcher the pronunciation, and of course Steam on this computer has to update first. Higurushi, I forget. It's like a long-standing, there was an anime, whatever, but I'm pretty sure it's also like a horror visual novel series. They were all Rampa. I have the, not Danganronpa, but I've got the game from the creator of Danganronpa, the 100-line Defense Force or Defense Academy thing that was really popular from this year. I have that on my shelf, and I want to get to that, because that also supposedly has some good turn-based combat too. But yeah, I've it's helped kind of push me into a new genre that I may have kind of avoided previously, because largely I had been someone who was like, this could be really interesting, whatever, but I gotta have the gameplay, baby. I gotta have the dopamine hits of getting in a perfect dodge and a perfect parry and complex RPG systems.
It's like going from being a shonen only watcher to dipping your toes into like a slice of life anime, and all of a sudden being like, oh my god, I get it now. I'm following these people around this fun little town, living their fun little lives.
The time I was reincarnated as a slime princess, or as a slime wife.
That's an isekai. That's not a slice of life.
Yeah, I know. But
we don't give respect to isekai anime.
The man immediately undercutting his own argument here. We love to see it.
I was more going for the fact that shonen are your typical action anime. Goku's powering up to fight this guy. Ichigo's activating his Bankai. Gummo Gummo pistol.
I'm a fan of the Gummo Gummo rocket or the whip with his leg. I like that one. But yeah, I for me, I was like, why would I do that when I can just read a book? That's like visual novels are for people too weak to just read a book. But no, there's interesting things being done there. So I'm grateful, if only for that. If it wasn't even, again, a kind of peak experience in its own right and how unique it was. So that's kind of my takeaway, and was a perfect fit for spooky season.
Great October.
I'm glad we played it, and I got a little bit talking about visual novels as well. Prepare ourselves for the coming months. You guys got to go start playing now. Go start playing 13 Sentinels. It's peak. It truly is. It's so good. All right. I think that's it for us for now. I don't have the calendar in front of me right away.
Next week is an off week.
Yeah, we're off
next week.
You want to record next week?
Yeah, flip it with the following. Just flip those two instead.
Okay. We'll talk about that, but that shouldn't be an issue. So yeah, maybe we'll just be.
That would be our what are we playing week.
Yeah, so it's gonna be interesting because next month,
oh boy,
for our game episode, we're talking about Ghost of Tsushima. Since I'm currently playing Ghost of Yotei, and probably still will be at that point, we're gonna basically do a Ghost of Yotei pod, and then Ghost of Tsushima the month after. That's gonna be fun. But I'll have other things I can talk about. Yeah. So I guess we'll have that coming at you next week, and we'll do a YouTube video of some kind the week after. And
given the rate of news, it'll probably be the downfall of Microsoft.
Dude, shit just won't stop. I guess that's a viable PR strategy, right? It's like things can't get worse, so just throw it all out there. We've completely hit rock bottom in terms of customer reaction. So just send it.
Scorched earth. Yeah.
There's some viability to that. But yeah, we'll have to wait till the end of the month to see what the fallout is. All right, folks, take it easy.
Bye-bye.
Everybody should go touch some grass every now and again.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Bye-bye.